What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. I hope you guys are doing great tonight. Hope everybody is having a fantastic weekend. Hope you guys are ready for a real 2025 fantasy football draft here on the Catch. Hopping into our 3 wide receiver league for the 2025 fantasy football season. This league, of course, completely made up of our incredible subscriber base and community. So for this league, rolling with 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, like I said, a tight end spot, a flex spot, and everybody has 5 bench spots, 2 IR spots as well. Full PPR league. Other than that, everything is pretty straightforward. So you guys have got a good kind of mix so far in terms of the community leagues that we've been able to run on streams for the first couple of drafts of the year. We've had the Super Flex League, which is a keeper format. We've had now the 3 wide receiver league tonight, and we've had one of our regular leagues, which is just a standard 12-team full PPR double flex format. A majority of the leagues every year are just a 1 QB, 2 RB, 2 wide receiver, tight end, 2 flex, 5 bench spot, full PPR format. But we have a couple juicy leagues mixed in, and this is the first year we're doing a 3 wide receiver format. So this is in honor of the fantasy endgame community. Chris and Pierre, shout out to you guys. I've been in quite a few of you guys' leagues over the last 2 years, but they are now playing exclusively through, which I encourage you guys to go download, check out. They're running a ton of free fantasy football leagues through Draft Lane. You can find all the details on their YouTube channel and or their Discord. But nonetheless, this was this idea for this league stemmed from one of their leagues last year that I was in that I ended up winning. You know, I got to put that out there, and got a few of you guys back from that same 3 wide receiver league last year through the fantasy endgame community, and then we filled it with a few members of the Catch community as well. So I'm very excited for this league, and it's going to be a good competitive draft at the 1-2 tonight. Going to be interesting to see how this one shakes out, and we will be starting in about 1 minute here. So I will go ahead and send out final warnings across the board, and then we will get this draft going. And I am pumped for another fantasy football draft. And the next 2 nights on the channel, we will have more fantasy football drafts for you guys. So it is that time of year. I'm pumped. Almost. I feel like August it always flies by, but August completely flew by this year. So hope you guys are doing great. Get in the live chat. Any fantasy football questions that you guys have, throw them in the live chat. Let's have some fun, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk some fantasy football tonight. And we will be starting right now. I'm pumped for this one. All right, we do have some preseason to talk about, so I'll get through this first selection. It's a tough pick because this is a 3 wide receiver format, as I've said like 20 times to start this stream already. So, I mean, wide receiver is going to be at a premium throughout this draft, but I'm still going to take Bijan Robinson at the 1-2 here. I don't know if I'm going to have any other leagues where I'm going to have the opportunity to draft Bijan Robinson. I mean, obviously, like I have best ball shares and whatnot, and I don't know. I mean, of course, I don't think I'm going to sway these next couple picks too much. But you know, with JJ, CeeDee Lamb, both right here, it is a really tough selection. But looking across the Catch leagues, yeah, I don't. Okay, I have the 1-2 in the Catch League 1, which is tomorrow's draft. So I guess there is but that's the thing. That's a keeper league. Jamar Chase is already gone. It's up to who Steven picks Steven has the 1-1. I have the 1-2. I'm keeping Barkley in that league. So Yeah, I think this might be the only catch league where I have the opportunity to actually take Bijan Robinson, and I'm still okay, even though this is a three wide receiver format, going running back here at the 1-2. So we'll start with Bijan. It's going to be an interesting mix throughout this draft. Three wide receiver formats are always really interesting when it comes to how skill position players, wide receiver, running back go, and how QBs and tight ends are mixed in as well. So. We'll just kind of sit back. We'll let this thing shake out. And we do have some preseason action to get into and to kind of quote unquote respond to. And then I will get into the live chat and we will keep rolling. Looks like the only person not in here is Mr. Sarcastic. So he might be here, but I haven't seen a green dot. So I'm just going to tag him quickly on Discord and Sleeper, and then we'll get into some of the preseason. There's not a ton to, I mean, there's some stuff. Well, let's just take a look at it. So let's start with the Ravens at the Commanders. It was a slaughterhouse of Ravens. But you know, even though the Ravens won this game 30-3, nothing to really respond to from a fantasy perspective. Rasheen Ali looks good as like the RB4 on this team. Maybe Dearness Johnson, who also looked fine. Like, I don't know who's really going to make that cut there. But I don't think anyone really cares. We have to see a Keaton Mitchell and Justice Hill and Derrick Henry injury for that to be relevant. When it comes to the Commanders, once again, there's a little bit to discuss here, but in terms of who's going to be the QB2, I don't know, because Sam Hartman looked absolutely awful today, and Josh Johnson didn't look great either, and Hartman could very well be getting cut for anyone who cares. When it comes to the running back position, I do want to mention that JCM did not play. We did not see Bill out there today. And while a lot of people are just like looking at this as like, you know, not a big issue necessarily, or maybe like he's going to roll with the ones, so there's nothing to worry about here. But JCM is dealing with a shoulder injury, and on that last touchdown he scored last week against Cincinnati, he did kind of land on his shoulder. So I'm not like trying to overreact here, and I feel like I've been kind of like, you know, a damper on the JCM hype, but just something to pay attention to. And he did rest, and with him resting in this matchup, we saw 5 carries to Chris Rodriguez for 34 yards, 6.8 yards per carry. Jeremy McNichols, though, 3 carries, -4 yards, and then Casimir Allen and Demetric Felton got some action. Casimir Allen getting the bulk of the carries there. So we'll see what happens. But JCM hype train, another chapter in this saga, I suppose. In terms of receivers, like, I mean, I do think that it's important to pay attention to names like Michael Gallup, KJ Osborne, and Luke McCaffrey, and I guess anybody else on this roster who's not Deebo Samuel, especially if Terry's not out there week 1, which I still think he will be. But you know, in the scenario that Debo's the wide receiver 1, who's going to be the wide receiver 2? I don't know. Gallup at 2 catches, KJ Osborne at 2 catches. Jacoby Jones is on this roster, had a catch. Luke McCaffrey had 5 catches. And we got Colson Yankoff had a big catch, and Ja'Cory Brooks. So, I mean, who in the world knows how that will shake out? I don't think it's going to be, from a redraft perspective, something that we're going to really pay attention to until it's time to actively be fighting on the waiver wire. In terms of the Broncos Saints, we did get a drive or so out of Bo Nix. He was 10 of 14 today, 110 passing yards, and a tutty to my guy, Cortland Sutton. That was nice to see. Something that is going to be fantasy relevant this year. 4 catches for Sutton, 83 yards, and a touchdown. In terms of the running backs deployed today, little Audric Estime, who did have a score, little Tyler Batty, and we did see 3 carries to RJ Harvey for a whopping 4 yards. We saw Marvin Mims have 1 carry for 0 yards, maybe worth noting. Pat Bryant had 2 catches in this matchup, and Troy Franklin also had 2 catches. That's really about it And I think we're going to see kind of a rotating door there in terms of these Broncos pass catchers, not named Cortland Sutton. So we'll see. I'm excited for that offense this year and even more excited after today. All right, I tagged Mr. Sarcastic on Sleeper and Discord. Looks like he's running behind. He'll get hit with the auto picks. If the auto picks get out of hand and become unrealistic, then I will step in. But for now, he's got Puka. All right, in terms of the Saints, we saw a little Spencer Rattler, little Tyler Shuck, little Jake Hayner. Not a whole lot to report here. None of them threw a touchdown in this matchup. We saw 5 touches to Devin Neal, 3 to Kendre Miller on the ground. Cam Akers had 2 carries. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 2 carries. I guess it is worth noting that Tyler Shuck ran for a touchdown. And in terms of receivers, we did see some Chris Olave, 3 catches, 29 yards. Some Rashid Shaheed, 2 catches, 14 yards. And that's really all I have to report. No Devon Vele. Rams Browns. A couple things to break down in this one, I guess. But in terms of the Rams, Darquez Hunter, 7 carries, 14 yards on the ground. That's really it for their offense. No Stetson Bennett today. Browns quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, Shedeur Sanders, and a little Tyler Huntley. Let's start with Joe Flacco. He looked pretty solid in terms of like playing with the ones today. Did end up throwing a touchdown, was 9 of 10, 71 yards, and that touchdown went to rookie tight end Harold Fannin, who some people have been a fan of throughout this offseason. So Flacco, if you're like a Jerry Judy, talking too fast tonight. Jerry Judy, David Njoku owner, believer, probably fine here, right? Running back situation still very murky. Some Jerome Ford, Pierre Strong, even, and a little bit of Dylan Sampson in today's matchup. And worth noting, looking at receivers, that David Njoku did have 2 catches today. Dylan Sampson had a catch at the running back position. Jerome Ford had 2 catches, but we didn't really see any Jerry Judy or Sid Tillman, any of those guys out there. We did see a little bit more Dylan Gabriel today. He looked pretty solid, 12 of 19, 129 passing yards and a touchdown. And we did see a little Shedeur Sanders. He really struggled today. Was 3 of 6, 14 passing yards. He had a fumble, really bad sack, big loss on the sack, running backwards. Some of the things that a lot of people have pointed out in terms of issues in college. A lot of things that I've pointed out in terms of speaking to Shedeur Sanders truthers, and I'm not a Shedeur Sanders hater, but when some people have come on the stream or in the Discord and been like, why are the Browns not starting Shedeur Sanders, has been my main knock. Is like, you cannot run that far behind the line of scrimmage, and especially against actual starting defenses, but now some of that starting to show. So, let's not and I said it all off season long, all throughout the preseason, let's not overreact to Shedeur Sanders' first start. Let's not necessarily underreact to this final start, and let's not over or underreact to any player in the preseason. All right, Colts Bengals. Saw some Riley Leonard today. Yeah, nothing for the Colts to report. Bengals, nothing to report. Jermaine Burton did have a catch. He's still on this roster. So that's an easy one. The Colts did win 41-14. Texans, Lions. I guess in terms of the Texans, I mean, we saw some Jaden Higgins, 2 catches, 18 yards. Xavier Hutchinson had a catch for 24 yards. And I think it's worth noting that in my mind and what has been throughout the course of the offseason, this pecking order for the Texans is going Nico Collins, Christian Kirk, then Jaden Higgins, and then maybe even Xavier Hutchinson in front of one or 2 of those guys. Xavier Hutchinson has been very involved in the preseason, so keep that in mind. I guess. I don't think Xavier Hutchinson is going to be like a fantasy piece necessarily, but he is a player who has been drastically involved. Drastic might be a stretch. Okay, let me very quickly take a look what in the world I want to do with this next pick. All running backs and receivers so far. It's a very difficult decision. And no quarterbacks or tight ends taken, so they're all available. I like JSN a lot. I'm just going JSN here. Yeah, Garrett Wilson I like. Marvin Harrison Jr., good pick there too. I think I'm still going to go running back here. There's a lot of wide receivers worth taking here, undoubtedly. But I just know this group, and I know either way, running backs are going to dry up quick in this draft. By the time I draft again at the 4-11, like I don't know what's going to be there. So I'm very high on Kyron still. Love him next to Bijan. Let's go Kyron Williams here. I'm okay with it. All right, the Lions. I saw a little Kyle Allen, a little Hendon Hooker. Kyle Allen was 5 of 5, 66 passing yards, a tutty. Hendon Hooker threw a pick. Other than that, nothing. Oh, excuse me. Isaac Tesla had a touchdown. He's had a touchdown every preseason game, if I'm not mistaken. So I believe the Tesla hype will continue. All right, Seahawks and Packers. Jalen Milroe, 13 of 24, 148 passing yards and a tutty, 7 carries for 31 yards. Did kind of botch the end of this game, missed snap, gave the ball or turned the ball over, and the Packers ended up scoring, if I'm not mistaken. Jake Bobo had a catch. MBS had 3 catches. Nothing to really report here. Packers. Josh Jacobs played today? Why? Malik Willis got the bulk of this. Pretty even. This is a defensive game for the Packers. Josh Jacobs had 1 carry. Matthew Golden had a big catch for 39 yards. It was a very impressive catch. Go back and watch the replay. Romeo Dobbs did catch a touchdown today as well. So I guess a couple things to report there. All right, we have the Jags-Dolphins still going on. There's going to be nothing to report for the Jags. I can tell you guys that already. In terms of the Dolphins, we did see a drive out of Tua. He was 4 of 8, 49 passing yards, did throw a tutty. And it was basically due to a very elusive little juke by Malik Washington. But nonetheless, Malik Washington probably saving a roster spot on this team. 3 catches, 41 yards, and a touchdown has been fine in the return game as well. Jalen Waddle had a catch. Tua, Tyreek Hill. No, Tyreek Hill didn't play, but Tua just kind of off the mark with some of these wide receivers today. But the main story here is that Ollie Gordon getting the bulk of the touches for the Dolphins, locked in as the true RB2, maybe, for the Dolphins. 8 carries, 43 yards on the ground if Jalen Wright continues to be hurt. Bills-Bucks at halftime. And I don't think there's going to be anything to report from that. Yeah, nothing to report here. I mean, Sean Tucker's playing if you want to watch that. But literally, there's nobody else for the Bills or Bucks worth looking at. Chargers-Niners are playing Trey Lance, trying to light up his former team. But we don't really have anything to report quite yet. Then the Raiders-Cardinals are going to wrap up the preseason tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern time. All right. We're in the 4th round already. Let's see what's going on. What's up, Jay Fitness? Hello, hello. Slowest time of year for me? Oh, it speeds by. It'll be September. It's going to be NFL kickoff before we know it. What's up, Albert, J-Dubs, Taylor? Good to see everybody. Good luck to everyone in the draft. Andrea, hello. Pull the 9th pick in my only redraft league this year. Not a fan. 1-9's okay. It's kind of a weird spot, but it's not awful. What's up, Carlos? Hope you're doing well. In a PPR 10-team league, do you feel that it's too risky to target round 3, Hendy and Harvey in the 4th? We start 2 RBs, 3 wide receivers, and a tight end. I don't think it's too risky. I'm not super high on RJ Harvey. I really feel like we're going to see a lot more J.K. Dobbins than some people are anticipating. Now, I know Dobbins has the injury concern tied to him, so that's why some people like Harvey more. I just Hendy's fine. He went at the 3-4 tonight. He's basically baked into that area, at worst beginning of the fourth. So Hendo's fine. It is a 10-teamer. I think I would target a different running back in the fourth, personally. And I'm assuming you're starting rounds 1 and 2 with wide receiver. Miles, should I trade Puka for Chuba in London? Then at running back, but deeper receiver. I would do this trade. I don't have, call me crazy, I don't have London that far away from Puka. If the injury concerns were not there for Matthew Stafford, I think Puka, when you look at his, average fantasy points per game last year, would be ahead for me. But I don't have London that far removed in rankings from Puka with that kind of shift happening with the concerns around Stafford. And then you basically just get Chuba for free. And I think Chuba's being really underrated right now overall. He's kind of fallen back. Like you see on the, I think Cook, Walker, Kamara, Henderson, Hampton. I get it, but sometimes we even see Chuba fall a little bit further, maybe 3 or 4 more spots, two spots, whatever. I think Chuba's going to be very solid this year. So I don't think it's a bad trade. Chat, what do you guys think? London and Chuba or Puka? Where'd you guys be at? Tony, what's going on, man? Thank you for listening in at work. Lead number 3, drafting tomorrow. Going to be another great draft. I'm pumped for that one. What's the earliest I should reach for Purdy, Pearsall, and Tyler Warren in a 1 QB 10 team? Well, when it comes to Purdy, he's usually like what? The QB 9? You kind of like, you're going to have Allen, Jackson, Hurts, JD, Burrow, Mahomes, Baker, Knicks gone. But then that next tier of like Goff, Purdy, Kyler, Justin Fields is kind of all over the place. Hold on, let me make this draft pick. Man, Breece Hall's really been falling in drafts. I just don't need to go running back here. I think McLaurin is a great pick there. I probably would have had a really tough time passing on Terry if he was not available there. I'll go, I feel like I've been kind of passing on Xavier Worthy as a late. We'll go Xavier Worthy here. There's a lot of wide receivers. Like no matter who doesn't get selected here at the turn, I'll be happy with this next pick. And yeah, I feel like Breece Hall is a smash pick there for Smokey, and he gets the Burrow stack. Very nice. I just did not need to go running back there. But yeah, we've seen Breece Hall really fall in actual drafts. The confidence in mock drafts compared to actual drafts for Breece Hall has been drastically different. All right, there's a lot of good wide receivers here. A lot of names that I really like. And I don't want to mention names like, and they're still on the board or whatever. Don't want to sway the draft. Well, there's a couple of these guys, right? I'll put it this way, that I've drafted a lot of already. Like maybe I should change up my exposure, so to speak, across some of these leagues. And this range of wide receivers is weird as is. You could really put a lot of these guys in different orders here. I'll take the volume and DJ Moore, though. That's a tough pick. Yeah, so in terms of Purdy in a 1 QB 10 team, I don't think you need to reach at all. I think you just draft him at his ADP. Like, he's going to be there when you want him. Pearsall, I will say Pearsall is a player that, like, you probably need to gear up to kind of reach for. In a 10-teamer, let's see. In terms of where he potentially be going, I'd be ready to take him in round 8, if not round 7. Tyler Warren, probably about that area as well. Those are two names who on draft day get a bit of a boost. People want those guys. Purdy, I don't think you need to fret about. Once again, that tier quarterback, it's all over the place. So George Pickens gone at the 5-4. That was the player I almost took here just for like an upside swing. I really like Pickens. T-Mac gone at the 5-6. Metcalf was still, I thought, a really good option. I'm okay with Worthy DJ Moore. Then there's one more player who, I mean, like, I'm not going to say the name because the draft's going on, but you guys could probably guess if you look at the receivers, who I almost always certainly would take in this range. Time to get your home league. Let's go tomorrow. Andrea does as well. Yeah, Bengals benched everyone. No, nothing to report there. All right, let's see. John at the 1-2, not McBride. No, you know me. You know I'm not drafting a tight end. And I could have gone Bowers, you know. So, but yeah, I don't draft tight end early. I think McBride could have a big year and outscore a lot of the tier 2 wide receivers. I mean, I doubt it personally. I think McBride could have a very good year for sure. Let's see here. He scored 249.8 fantasy points last year. Just close. JSN had 253 last year. Garrett Wilson had 251. So, I mean, it's certainly not out of the realm possibilities. Higgins 220, but he only 222, but he only played so many games. Mike Evans I mean, it kind of depends on where you're starting that tier 2, so to speak, area. But I mean, if I was going to go tight end there, it would be Bowers. But yeah, I just don't draft tight ends early. It's not part of the strat. But yeah, we do see Bowers fall to the 3-8, McBride to the 3-10, and a 3 wide receiver format. I don't think that's too crazy. This is about, like, in some super flex formats, 3 wide receiver formats, you'll see the tight end position and even the quarterback position shift back just a little. But yeah, you know me. I'm not going tight end that early. Henderson at the 3-4. Yeah, I'm not shocked here. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, being there, like, he's not going to come back to the 4-9. So if you have him above Kamara, Walker, Cook, Chuba, like, I mean, even if those 4 running backs are gone, Henderson's likely gone before the 4-9 comes back around too. So it's a 3 RB start with Gibbs, Bucky, and Henderson. If you want to go out and quote unquote reach, I've seen it in more and more drafts as we move into actual drafts. People will reach for Henderson confidently. It's Bowers and McBride. Yeah, once again, tight end's going to be a little bit shifted back to, say, 3 wide receiver format. J-Dub starting with Nico, AJ Brown, Bowers, JD5, and James Conner. Thought the draft was at 6:30. No. Oh, so for you, probably 9:30 is what you're thinking. Brees is nice there, but it's a lot of faith in New York Jets offense. Yeah, I mean, it's good value for both, or a typical value for Garrett Wilson. Like, that's kind of the issue there. Like, it's kind of it's like a trap. Like, when Smokey was drafting Garrett Wilson, I highly doubt that he thought Brees Hall would be there at the 4-12, and then he just is. And I think at that point, it's very tough to pass on Brees. Like, once again, if I didn't go 2 running backs for the first 3 rounds, then I would have certainly gone Brees at the 4-11. That'd be an interesting way to look at this draft. If I got like T. Higgins at the 3-2, still would have got Brees at the 4-11, then wide receiver of choice out of the next tier at the 5-2. But I will say I feel better about Kyron overall. Smokey, I'm surprised you didn't go DK Metcalf. Got invited to join a 1 flex league draft on Wednesday, and it's an in-person draft. Never done an in-person draft. Yeah, I have truthfully never done an in-person draft as well. So, but yeah, this should be fun. Should be a good time. Okay, I'm kind of winging this draft tonight. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with these next 2 picks, but we'll see. Matthew Golden's a good pick. Having to have Buffalo Wild Wings for Andrea's home league. That'd be too tough for me. I'd be too distracted by Buffalo Wings the whole time. What's up, Cinnabone? I'm a Saints fan. I broke my only rule and drafted Evans. Yeah, here comes a point. You got to separate the two. Can't have any personal biasy. Nah, I wanted Ricky Pearsall. Yeah, wide receivers getting wiped out. That's the thing. Like in this type of format, wide receiver will just it'll get vanquished quickly. A couple players I like right here. A couple different positions. Pearsall and Matthew Golden, the 2 guys I was eyeing. I was wondering when Emeka Egbuka would go. Was it the 6-2? We'll take Addison. Let him ride the bench for a few weeks. I don't really feel like I had to take Addison there. I feel like I'm like Jordan Addison's biggest fan, but it's okay. It's always a tough spot looking at, when you're at the 1.1, the 1.2, the 1.3, really hard to predict exactly who's going to be back. Man, I was going to go Tony Pollard at the 6'11". And I'm okay with not taking Tony P there. I have quite a few shares of Pollard, but I'm going to go Pacheco here. And I kind of like that. Let's throw Pacheco on the bench as our RB3. Don't love Brees this year, but crazy to me that he's going after Chuba. Yeah. It's close. I think it's still close between those two. Chuba's still, RB14 last year. I think the big thing with Chuba, I think they're a little bit more similar overall. Like, I think there could be touches for Rico Dowdle, and there could be touches for Braylon Allen for sure, each respective offense there. So, yeah, there's something about Brees Hall. Like, the confidence level really drops when it comes to draft day. So, certainly has been interesting to see throughout the course of the actual drafts, once they start, confidence level drops pretty quickly. All right, Demarcus Robinson scored a touchdown for the Niners, but he's suspended for 3 games? Robbie Chosen's playing tonight. Looks like Sky Moore is active. I don't know if is he going to play. Isaac Garando is active as well, even though he's a little banged up. 4 carries for him. I don't think we're going to see any Brian Robinson tonight for the Niners, though. Bills Bucks. Let me see if anything exciting has happened. Worth reporting. Does not look like it. Keep an eye on the preseason games for you guys. What would you say is the best draft position in a 14-man half PPR? I mean, I think truthfully, you can draft anywhere and be successful. In a 14-man league, I probably want a later pick to snag up a player in the early 2nd round who is close to, if not a first-round caliber type player. So I would say anything from the 110 and the 114. But, then again, a half PPR, it's going to depend on how many, I would assume more running backs are going to go earlier overall. But once again, there's really, really good value at receiver and running back at the end of the first, still even in a 14-man league. So I would say overall, I'd be looking to draft a running back and wide receiver, best available of each position, really regardless of where I draft from, unless the value is too good to pick up, and maybe a little bit more of an emphasis if it came down to it on running back and half PPR. But I'll say that much. Running back is going to dry up much quicker. It has been happening in every draft, but running back will dry up quicker regardless of format. But in a 14-man league specifically, it will dry up relatively fast overall. So, I would still say I want a later pick so that I can get whatever running back is there in the first round, a Derrick Henry, Ashton Genty, C-Mac, and then going in the second round, still be able to target like a Chase Brown or A-Chain or Jacobs, whoever you prefer. And if I don't get, said running back from either one of those tiers, then I think it's okay to still draft best receiver available, whether it's a Drake London, Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, whomever it may be. But yeah, I wouldn't overthink draft position too much, really, regardless of what the format is. I think people get kind of caught up in that in the offseason, like what is the best place to draft from? And like they get bummed when they don't draft around that area or whatever. And like truthfully, I think you can be successful drafting from anywhere. And as long as you follow suit with a particular strategy, try not to get too caught up in where specific players go and really base your entirety of your draft off of being contingent on things going that exact way, because when it comes down to it, draft day is always different than anything you could try to prepare for. Devontae at the 4-8 in a 3 wide receiver league is nutty. I know you're jealous, Cats. You should have joined this league. You could have had your guy, Devontae. Yeah, you did see a little stretch there, between the 3-8 and the 4. It's actually the 4-6 Cats. But between the 3-7 and the 4-6, he saw 2 tight ends, 3 quarterbacks, where there were 0 tight ends selected so far and only 1 quarterback selected, 3 running backs mixed in. So push things around a little bit, so to speak, right there. And I think once again with Devontae Adams, like we have the scare, the Matthew Stafford situation going on. So I think that's kind of baked into that evaluation, so to speak, as well. How's the 4? Well, hey, I'm just letting you know, bro. I'm just letting you know it is the 4-6. You need to check your eyes. It is tough to read. It does kind of look like an 8. I'm just letting you know. Cinnabon likes Smokey's draft so far. Pollard was a really good value. I'm interested to know, Smokey, if you would have gone Jordan Addison. I'm okay with Pacheco. Once again, Pollard is a guy that I have a lot of exposure to, a lot of shares of. That's probably not going to change. So I kind of, in my mind, I took Addison there to force me to take Pacheco potentially, or Tyrone Tracy, or Aaron Jones, who both just got selected, to kind of switch things up a little bit. But I feel more comfortable with Pacheco as an RB3. And once again, I'd be very confident in Pollard as an RB3. But I know the Chiefs have looked pretty good in limited preseason action. And I think my kind of thesis that is built over the course of the offseason is that Pacheco will be the RB1 once we get into actual game day mode. So yeah, I got 2 shares of Chiefs players tonight, Worthy and Pacheco. But yeah, I like Smokey's start. We'll break down all the teams at the end of the draft as well. Chase, what's up, bro? Good to have you. No, you can ask questions. Please do. As long as it's not pertaining to what you should do in a draft that is currently going on, then please ask questions. Taylor likes J-Dub's draft. Single RB over there. It's getting a little shaky, but that's okay. I went with a true hero RB build last night. Going for Addison instead of Debo. Okay, that makes me feel better. Yeah, truthfully, I was really hoping like Matthew Golden and or Ricky Pearsall would fall out. Pearsall I really wanted. Once again, Pearsall is a player that really gets hyper targeted on draft day. I'm having a tough time drafting Ricky Pearsall because like I know that I can't wait too late, right? And then even when I like get in my head, like, okay, this is where I want to try and draft him, I just am always falling a little bit short. But I digress. Still happy with that. Cats likes J Fitness's start. Not bad, yeah. Neighbors beat Tom Jamos spooky. Lamar, Hawk, Walker, Swift. We're basically going 0 RB. I guess you could argue. Walker and Swift, a lot of upside. They just got Josh Downs. Pollard is a sneaky good situation as long as the Titans line can be decent. Pollard should have a good year. 110% agree. We've liked Pollard throughout the entirety of the offseason. All right. I don't know what I want to do this next pick. I think I'm kind of just going BPA, best player available. See what happens. A lot of good players on the board. J-Dub's getting some praise tonight with that James Conner team. I like it. I like all the picks except for Waddle. Any concern about Purdy with all those injuries? It's a good question, actually. Like I've talked about having some concerns about Jordan Love potentially. I think Purdy will be fine. His ceiling will definitely be lowered, dependent on the health of said players. But what Purdy was the QB 14 last year. The main thing at the end of the day is that the Niners are going to be a pass first offense, and it won't even be close. So the opportunity will certainly be there. I don't know what I'm going to do this next pick. So yeah, I don't worry. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I don't like miss a pick here. The opportunity will certainly be there for Purdy. And I still like in my soul believe that we are going to see a healthy Jawan Jennings early in the season. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea what I want to do this next pick. Like, regardless of who goes right here. There's a good player at every position right here. It's a tough choice. I know it's gross. I'm going to take Joe Mixon. I'm going to throw him on IR and get a free player after the draft. I know it's very, very. I was very anticlimactic. Go ahead and roast me in the chat. Gosh, we're cruising through this draft. And then, yeah, I just have a really difficult time, I think, passing on Baker Mayfield at this point in the draft. So I'll take my QB1. See what happens. Stream RB2 if needed, to be honest. Yeah, it's basically like what happened with my team last night. And I don't have a problem with that kind of thought process whatsoever. I don't. I like it. Risking it for the biscuit. I feel like that Joe Mixon pick's going to be a mistake. Pacheco was healthy, which sounds like he is. He should be a third-round pick like last year. Yeah, and I mean, recency bias, he's always going to come into play. So I don't think he would ever have made it that far, but maybe in like the Monty Connor type area. I could have seen that happen. Couldn't pass up Hawk there. Usually go 1 QB late round tight end or vice versa. Hawk was a good value for you. Waddle's still your guy. I don't have a problem with that at all. I mean, I have a problem with it, but I don't have a problem with it at the same time. Why do people like Ricky over Jennings? Well, I mean, Jennings is hurt and is a re-aggravation of, supposedly a re-aggravation of the, same injury that bothered him last year. Jennings is older. Jennings really was a boomer bust type player last year, where Pearsall feels like he can come in and be like a true security type player, security blanket type player with a lot of consistency potentially. Be a really good PPR type option, and he fits the mold of the offense well. And throughout the course of training camp, there's been a lot of good buzz about him. So I think that the pendulum has swung in Ricky's favor, so to speak. But I think people still like Jennings. But also, like, there is a chance that Jennings not ready week 1. Christian Kirk is a great pick there. Kirk was the player I would have taken if Baker was not available. Baker kind of ends the tier of quarterback where, like, once it starts to get pushed, I have a tough time passing. Ricky isn't injured, will honor his contract yet. I don't think he has much of a choice. Catch taking my strat, taking Mixon. Hey, I've talked about the Mixon thing for a few weeks now. And really for me in this draft, it doesn't really, I don't really need to take Mixon there. It's a selfish pick. I spent very early draft capital on running back already. It would have been better for me to take a receiver. But we can't go back. Mooney is underrated except when Cinnabon is talking about him. Fair. See, with those 2 picks, I almost went Christian Kirk, Keenan Allen. And now they are both. I knew that they weren't going to come back. So, that's what made those 2 picks difficult. I didn't feel like those picks were going to be difficult going into those picks. I didn't think that Baker would be there for sure. And Mixon, I knew there might be a decision to be made. So that's okay. We live, we move on. I do have an obsession with Christian Kirk and Keenan Allen late, and I have them in a lot of leagues, a lot of drafts so far. So it'll be okay. There's just a lot of good players available still. A lot of good players. Austin Eckler's a really good value. I feel like Eckler keeps falling in drafts. And then full PPR, like Eckler should be a player that should be started up. He should be like going to, I think, like the Dobbins area. And honestly, Javonte Williams, I think, is turning into and I've talked about Javonte throughout the course of the offseason. He's been, if I'm going to draft a Cowboys running back, it has been Javonte all offseason long. And Jadon Blue, while it doesn't look to be worrisome, did suffer an ankle injury against the Falcons yesterday. So that's kind of hurt his theoretic stock. And then Miles Sanders has a shoulder injury. So that really just leaves like Phil Maffa as the next guy. I guess Deuce Vaughn is in the mix. But I think week 1 it will be Javonte. Braylon Allen, a good pick. It's just there's no more late round sleepers. There's not. Like whoever your late round guys are, you got to go out and get them. Okay, you can't hold back. And that's the beauty of real drafts. Baker was good value though. Yeah, it's like once again, if I miss out on the next Mahomes Baker area, I'm okay with it. But if one of those three guys falls too far, I'm just going to take them, especially Baker. I think you could argue Baker should confidently go ahead of Mahomes and Knicks. I mean, the offense has only gotten better in the offseason, and Baker was confidently the QB4 last year, you know? And Marvin Mims, all my late round receivers going fast. Yeah, I don't understand when Baker falls in drafts. Especially once Godwin's back in there will be a point this season. If Mike Evans and Emeka Egbuka can stay healthy, that Godwin will be back and healthy, and Jalen McMillan will be back and healthy as well. That's going to be a scary offense. But even without those guys, very good offense. But I guess starting tackles hurt too, right? Javonte might as well be blurred out on my screen. Refuse to look at him. Yeah, and a team that only has 2 running backs through the first 6 rounds, I don't hate it. Only Eckler was on the trade block in one of your dynasty leagues. Yeah, I'm confidently ignoring your dynasty potential trades at the moment. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I am kind of interested in Eckler in that league. I'm not going to lie. But what are you going to want? You just traded like – what do you trade for Eckler? It's an awful trade for Ben. What are you going to want in return? Like I have Chris Rodriguez in that league, so it just makes it like I'm hoping Eckler gets hurt and Chris Rodriguez takes the backfield for some reason. That's what I'm actually hoping happens. But yeah, I need running back depth in that league. I'm actually kind of scared about that team. For those of you guys in that league, I'm actually getting scared about that team. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I'm getting close to a worrisome area. Give me Mooney back. I'll give you Eckler. That's interesting. Slightly intriguing. All right, I'm just going to draft wide receivers. Give me Shaheed. I believe in Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck officially. Got 2 starters. Somebody going to come knocking. Mark Andrews a tough pass there. And Kyle Pitts. Go Bateman. Like, theoretically here, I could have passed on Mixon and Baker and gone Kirk and Allen, then got Shaheed and Bateman, and would have a or even just Andrews and Shaheed or Andrews and Bateman. This Baker Mixon conundrum is going to shake me up. But ultimately, once Jordan Addison is back, this team is fine. Trade for Garrett Wilson in the Superflex League. Oh, yeah. You're sending me trades too, aren't you? Did we already swap? I don't like that trade. I'm keeping Nico. No. Won't trade with you. Kyle Pitts at the 1-1. Went 11-1. Close enough. I'm not trading with you. I feel like you're exiled from trades. I will say this, Cats. I will say this. For everyone in the Dynasty Leagues who comes after you, the league, the one QB Dynasty League that I won last year, we did that trade. I traded you Trevor Lawrence and Garrett Wilson. I got Kyler Murray and Drake London. That won me. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I could have won without that trade. But I'm going to go in and say, because those two guys were on my roster last year, that won me in the league. I mean, I don't know. The rest of that starting lineup was pretty solid. And I started Jared Goff more than Kyler Murray. But did London over Garrett Wilson? I mean, London was the wide receiver 5. What was Garrett Wilson the wide receiver? Should know this off the top of my head. Wait. Oh, where's Garrett Wilson on your team? Is Garrett Wilson on your taxi squad? Are you keeping Garrett Wilson on your taxi squad, dude? Wait, am I thinking of this trade in the right league? Do you have no? You traded away Garrett Wilson the other day. That's right. Okay, that was tripping me out because I thought maybe I was looking at the wrong league. And I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Garrett Wilson was the wide receiver 10 last year. So yeah, I'm going to say that won me the league. So thank you, Cats. Yeah, it was left in the DMs, and then I decided I liked it. And then I did tell you didn't actually have to accept it. And then you did accept it. So, I don't feel bad for you. I don't. I kind of do, though. But when your team is Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Genty, JJ, Neighbors, Lamb, McBride, Hunter, Pearsall, Henderson on the bench, and Tyler Warren, Keenan Allen, and Jalen Coker. Let's not forget Coker. I don't feel bad. Dopt is having a good draft so far. Is that you? Welcome to it. I'm excited to go over the teams at the end of the draft. Back-to-back IR picks. I like it. In case you guys are wondering, if you don't know, the only players you can put on IR would be players listed as IR, listed as PUP. I think if they get listed as NFI, they can be moved there, but that should be it. Or if they get knocked with COVID, the COVID thing is still active on Sleeper. Those are the only, so no suspended players, no questionable players, no, what's the other tag we use? Probable. None of that stuff. I remember used to be a thing in a lot of leagues where 10 years ago, you would be able to put questionable players on IR, for example. It's always so stupid. I think the big one to make sure you guys know about it is suspended players. But I don't know. I'm the only person with Jordan Addison in every league, so I'm the only one suffering. I will say, if you own Chris Godwin, the Bucks are planning to take him off the PUP list, which is so annoying for fantasy purposes. I don't know when they're exactly going to do that, but it is annoying. Yeah, this was a good draft to wait on quarterback. And I knew when I took Baker, that was, I'm still, I feel like I'm acting very mad about Baker. I'm not that mad about it. Let's go. Adopted RDN. Glad to have you in the league this year. Solid value, Ayuk and Najee. I mean, it could end up being down the stretch very impactful. Don't get me wrong. Guys know I'm not passing on Rachaad White. Nobody else going to draft Rachaad White. Best believe it. I won't let it happen. I don't know. I like tonight's team. I'm just maybe overly worried about the wide receivers because I expected some better late round wide receiver value, but I still like Shaheed and Bateman. And I think when Addison's back, this team will be fine. It's still a solid squad. That'll be the big question for me is were Mixon and Mayfield the right picks, or should I gone Kirk and Allen, and then I could have got any other quarterback I wanted, gone to quarterback, still gotten Rachaad White as my RB4. Get Kincaid at tight end. Rachaad White is the second best handcuff in fantasy. Rachaad White's my favorite player. I do want to get, whenever I redo my setup, I want to get a framed Rachaad White Buccaneers jersey. I feel like I need it for the sake of the channel. For the lore. You know, we've had a lot of guys over the years. Rachaad White has been one, but like Isaiah Pacheco, Christian Kirk, Baker was a big one before Baker was like, I remember getting made fun of last offseason, like, because Baker's my most drafted quarterback. DeAndre Swift. I feel like I need a DeAndre Swift. I feel like I just need like a bunch of random jerseys from the lore of the channel. I feel like DeAndre Swift, Rachaad White, Christian Kirk kind of fell off. Pacheco fell off too. In terms of like my guys, what are some other names that have always been there? I used to be like DJ Moore used to really be one of my guys. Some of them come and go throughout the course of the seasons, but you know. Feel like a Rachaad White, DeAndre Swift setup would probably hurt the channel. But that's why I would do it. It's for the lore. All right, guys, just a couple more picks. I feel like this draft went by super fast. Pop Douglas, a really good pick there. He was the only other player that I had queued up. I think it's a great pick, Andrea. Two more picks. Rachaad White is not Sean Tucker's handcuff. I'm telling you guys right now, Rachaad White could miss a game or two, whatever. But as the season goes on, it's going to be Bucky and it's going to be Rachaad White and it's going to be Sean Tucker. And Rachaad White will have involvement in this offense. Don't forget it. Something for Rachaad White. I knew you would take Rachaad White if he was there. And honestly, it would have been a good pick for you. All right, two more picks, boys and girls. I will say the one thing that will keep Rachaad White definitely involved is his pass blocking ability, which Sean Tucker is not in that same caliber. This is the last round, yes. 5 bench spots. Happy with the draft. Still got 2 starters in spite of pushing RB down. What starters? Stevenson or Bigsby? I actually think that Bigsby is a starter. All right, so waivers should be open until midnight, and then I will turn them off. Which actually reminds me, in what league drafted last night? League 5. No, this is League 5. Whatever league drafted last night, Superflex, right? Yeah, waivers are still on. I need to change that. All right, I'm going to go over each and every team in just a minute here. God, why do they make waivers so confusing? All right, there, it's turned off. All right, I picked up Jake Ferguson. Rashad White is the Kyron Williams, Alexander Madison. Whatever. I feel like that's a compliment. All right, let's break down the teams. Thoughts on setting Caleb and JCM for Knicks? Yeah, I'll take Knicks. I'll take Knicks. It maybe depends on your running back situation, but generally I'll take Knicks. All right. Smokey at the 1-1. We had Burrow, Andrews, and Pitts. You're good at QB and tight end. Kind of zero RB team here. Brees Hall, Pollard, Etienne, Algier, and Jerome Ford. Tough pickings at running back throughout this draft. You do have 3 stud wide receivers to start, which is important in this format. Chase, Wilson, Harrison. Debo and Coleman on the bench. Yeah, Pickens got, I don't know. That's not even a word. I was going to say the Pickens got tough. This is draft. The value certainly was tough from the 1-1. So Burrow at QB, Andrews at tight end, Hall, Pollard, Chase, Wilson, MH. Then you got to figure out the flex. I didn't think Etienne was decent value. I don't know that I'm like, I mean, Algier's a fine hand cut. Who else were you going to take? Rico or Ollie Golden, I guess. Ollie Gordon, excuse me. Ford kind of seems to be in the doghouse right now. But I think I would have just taken like Pop Douglas there, for example. But man, who knows? Starting lineup looks okay. He's got to figure out that flex spot. ETN could end up being good flex there. Or Debo. I guess Debo would be in the flex for you. So Burrow, Andrews, Hall, Pollard, Chase, Wilson, Harrison, Debo in the flex. All right, we'll do my team last. Servo Drock. Waits at QB goes Drake May. It's Tyler Warren in the 9th. Running backs are JT, Hampton, Harvey, Jadon Blue, and Ray Davis. Receivers are Lamb, McLaurin, Pearsall, Diggs, Higgins, Tillman. I've got some good wide receiver value in this draft. So starting Drake May and Tyler Warren, JT, Hampton, Lamb, McLaurin, Pearsall. I do think McLaurin will be out there week 1. Then you're flexing Stephon Diggs. So it's pretty solid. Really sniped me on Pearsall there. It really hurt my feelings. Diggs was a good value. I'm okay with Higgins, but I would rather wait and draft Christian Kirk personally. I mean, you're pretty much solid here. You have a good starting lineup, and you do have some flexibility out of like a RJ Harvey if you want him, and a good bench. Good team. All right, hustle for it at the 1-4. Bo Nix, good value in the 7th. Ingram, good value in the 8th. Let's go Broncos. Got the stack, right? Gibbs, Bucky, Hendo, JCM. Hunter, Pickens, Rice, a lot of upside. Burden, Kyle Williams, Dr. Thornton, Pat Bryant. Starting Knicks, Ingram, Gibbs, Bucky, Hendo in the flex, Hunter, Pickens, Rice while you can. There's a lot of upside between these three wide receivers, but also some risk involved. So you need a guy like Luther Burden or Dante Thornton to hit here at the end. I mean, I'm okay with it, but once Rice is out, like you got to fill in that third wide receiver. You got to keep the flex alive, which I think he'll do at the running back position. Someone's got to take Bill. He goes at the 9-4. Not bad. All right, Mackin at the 1-5 gets Josh Allen at QB and Dak Prescott, Colson Loveland, and David Njoku. So double quarterback and double tight end. Receivers are J.J. Metcalf, Matthew Golden, Olave, Jack Besk. I mean, good wide receiver value, but I just don't know if I'm drafting Jack Besk. We haven't heard anything positive all offseason about him. It's all been Dante Thornton and even a little bit of Trey Tucker as well. So I don't think you need to take him in the 10th. I mean, I like Bash coming out of college, don't get me wrong, but I basically take any other receiver over him right now. Just because I don't think you need to draft him in the 10th. Running backs are Jacobs, Chuba, Quinton Junkins, Rico Dowdle. I do like Dowdle in the 13th. So let's see here. It can be tough to go both double QB and double tight end, but you're starting Jay Allen. One of the two tight ends, Jacobs, Chuba, JJ, Metcalf, Golden, then Olave in the flex, which are pretty good lineup. You can flex Njoku as well, and maybe Junkins can be an option for you. You can flex Njoku, start Loveland, or vice versa. Usually, if I'm going to spend this much draft capital on a quarterback, I'm not going to draft another quarterback. Two late round tight ends not as big of an issue. I probably would take another receiver. But once again, you only spent a 12th rounder on Dak, so it's fine. All right, adopted RDN. Let's see here. Purdy in the 11th, Kittle in the 4th, C-Mac and Garanda. A lot of Niners here. C-Mac, Chase Brown, Dobbins, Benson, Garando at running back. Higgins, T-Mac, Flowers, Shakir, Pittman, and Rondell Robinson at receiver. So let's see. Purdy, Kittle, C-Mac, Chase Brown, Higgins, T-Mac, Flowers, Shakir is a pretty solid lineup. Dobbins and Pittman, I think, are both flexible. Not a bad bench. Benson, Garando, Robinson, Pittman, Dobbins. It's a good team. LeBron at the 1-7. We got Mahomes and Laporta. Barkley, A-Chain, Caleb, Johnson, B-Rob, Chubb. Mike Evans, Adams, Devonta, Jaden Reed, Palmer, Thielen. Not bad here. So starting Mahomes and Laporta. Obviously. Barkley, A-Chain, a lot of upside there. Evans, Adams, Devonta. Devonta Smith, a great value there in the 5th. Then your flex is whoever's left over. It's a solid team. The bench is good enough. I thought Jaden Reed was a really good value in the 9th. I almost took him in that area as well. All right, J-Dubs. A lot of fans of this draft. We have JD5 at QB, Brock Bowers at tight end. James Conner, Tank Bigsby is who you declared as your starting running backs. But we also have Ramondre, Tajay Spears, and Ollie Gordon, who could give you some floors when healthy at the RP2 spot. But yeah, I like Bigsby. Don't get me wrong. Receivers are stacked. Nico, A.J. Brown, Waddle, Jennings, Godwin, Mooney. Good value at the position throughout the draft. So you're starting JD5, Bowers, Nico, A.J. Brown, Waddle, Connor, Bigsby, flexing whoever you want. Jawan Jennings. Do have some injuries here. Looks like you put Godwin on IR. No, you dropped Tajay Brooks. Wait. You picked up Tajay Brooks, put Godwin IR, dropped Tajay Brooks, picked up Chris Rodriguez. Fair. Drafty tip at the 1-9. So let's see here. Jalen Hurts, great value in the 4th. Tucker Kraft in the 11th was beautiful. Tucker Kraft's been my guy in that range. Good value for you. Henry, Kamara, Jones, Mason, both Minnesota running backs. Bashaw, Tootin, good backfield. Ladd, Ridley, Rome, Christian Kirk, Marvin Mims, Xavier Legette. Pretty good receiver value throughout this draft. I still prefer Pop or Hollywood over Xavier Legette, but it's your 13th rounder. Take you once. So you're starting Hurts, Kraft, Henry, Kamara, Ladd, Ridley, Rome, flexing the GOAT, Christian Kirk. But you do have plenty of flex options here. Aaron Jones, Mason, Kirk, Mims. It's a good team. It's one of the teams in the Endgame League last year that was very good all year long. So, good squad. Andrea, at the 110, you've got Herbert and McBride. That should be fine. Cook, Monty, Tracy, Braylon Allen, Dylan Sampson. Very good running back value throughout this draft. Amon-Ra, Lundo, Judy, Cup, Keenan Allen, Pop Douglas. This is a good team, Andrea. I haven't really drafted Cup like at all this year, I feel like, but I still think he's a good enough value in the 8th. You look at some of the other names there. So you're starting Herbert, McBride, Cook, Monty, Amon-Ra, Lundo, Judy. The flex is open. You got a lot of potential options in the flex. So, yeah. I like this team. Good bench, too. That might be my favorite team. Mr. Sarcastic waits at QB. Still gets Goff and Kyler. This was a good draft to go later. Anytime I do end up, quote-unquote, reaching and actually taking an early-ish QB, it ends up being just like a complete push at QB. But Goff, Kyler is very nice. Genty, Jalen Warren, Charbonnet, Scadaboo, basically hero RB build. Puka, Tyreek, Sutton, Myers, Emeka Egbuka, and Trey Harris. Great wide receiver room. So we're starting one of the 2 QBs, Kelsey, Genty, Warren, Puka, Hill, Sutton, flexing Myers, and Egbuka can fit in there if you want him to. I do like Zach Charbonnet in this build. I probably would have gone Eckler or Javonte over Kelsey. If you like Scadaboo here, that's fine. I prefer Braylon Allen. And then I would have waited to go tight end just because of the nature of the hero RB build. But tight end was getting a bit sketchy in this kind of areas. And nonetheless, it's a good team. J Fitness, last but not least, not including me. Lamar, you're good there. TJ Hawkinson, you're good there. Walker, Swift, Eckler, Javonte, Najee. You have since picked up Roshan Johnson and Jalen Coker with Najee and Ayuk on IR. Receivers, neighbors, B. Tom, J-Mo, Downs, Ayuk, Hollywood, Brown. So, yeah, you got a lot of upside here. Starting Lamar, Hawk, Walker, Swift, neighbors, B. Tom, J-Mo, and then whomever you prefer in the flex. And a good bench. Solid team. It's a great draft, guys. Congrats to all of you in our first ever 3 wide receiver league. Very good draft across the board. And this, I anticipate this certainly being a very competitive team this year, or league this year, excuse me. All right, let me have it, boys and girls. How do we like the team? Got Baker at QB. I just can't. It's just, I can't pass on Baker in that range. Don't know if I needed the mix and pick, but I feel like it could be worthwhile down the stretch. I'm going to beat myself up for that. But I think it's good that I didn't get Kirk and Keenan Allen because I had them in a lot of leagues. So to get some different exposure to Shaheed and Bateman was probably good. So I'm starting Baker and Kincaid. I have since added Jake Ferguson to this roster and put Mixon on the IR. I have Bijan, Kyron, Pacheco, Rashad White, and Joe Mixon at running back. Receivers are going to be JSN, Xavier Worthy, DJ Moore, Addison once he's back, Rashid Shaheed, and Rashad Bateman. So I think it's still a very solid squad at the end of the day. I do actually really like this team. Um, the only other part that I felt like was a bit of a conundrum in this draft was going Xavier Worthy, DJ Moore, which I'm completely fine with. But you look at the board here: Pickens, Metcalf, T Mac, Devonta, Ridley, JMO. It's basically wide open. I like a lot of names in that stretch, and even some of the guys bleeding into the next round, like Jacoby Myers and Emeka Egbuka, for example. Um, so I think this team could be theoretically contingent on Worthy and DJ Moore potentially being the best out of that tier. It's a very wide open tier of receivers. But I am happy I kind of went double hero RB, so to speak. Once again, Mixon, like I didn't need the fourth RB there with the early draft capital at running back. It's just one of those things. When he's falling, I like to grab him. Do you think he could be a draft day winner? And then Baker's just too much to pass on for me. If I didn't go Mixon Baker there, it would have been Jaden Reed, Christian Kirk, Keenan Allen, some combination of those three guys right there. And then, I probably would have gone ahead and jumped gun on quarterback in this area, or just would have. I don't think I would have kept going. I probably would have taken Tucker Kraft, quite frankly, which I do have a lot of Tucker Kraft exposure. So I'm still okay with this team. I think it's good and pretty good top to down value. And could be a good league this year, boys and girls. Congrats again to everybody in the league and a great draft. Nonetheless. All right. Let's take a look here. I feel like nobody drafted like it was 3 wide receiver. Not really. I mean, they did. But I have been in 3 wide receiver. It's a bit more drastic, for sure. Anybody do 3 RB leagues? Not that I've seen. There's much more overall depth at receiver compared to running back. All right, just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat. Jay Fitness likes the team. J-Dubs is a safe team. Yeah, I try to get some upside sprinkled in there. Worthy. See, I was going to go Pickens or JMO over DJ Moore, and then I went back to kind of a floor. Yeah, it is pretty floor dependent here. Bijan and Worthy probably carrying my ceilings, and Baker, I guess. Is trading Chase Brown and Pearsall worth it for BTJ in a standard league? I mean, it may depend on the overall roster here. I think I would keep. I don't know. I'm pretty high on Pearsall. I mean, I love BTJ. Chat, what do you guys think? Standard scoring, Chase Brown and Pearsall. I think that Chase Brown gains a little bit more value here as well because it is standard scoring. So I think I keep Chase Brown and Pearsall, but it may depend on the roster, Jay. If you want to do the trade, I don't hate it. I don't think it's a bad trade for BTJ per se, but I'm pretty high on Chase Brown. And standard running back's going to deviate a little bit more value. So I think as much as I like BTJ, I think Pearsall certainly has the opportunity this year to really move in 1, 2, 3 tiers at worst down below where BTJ is. So he's very, very valuable in this trade. And Chase Brown, I mean, like Chase Brown's a second rounder at this point. I don't think I'd do the trade. It may depend on the roster if you really wanted BTJ. Notice a lot of running backs drafted. Yeah, like usually there's a bigger shift at wide receiver. And but running backs really didn't get shifted up in this draft, comparatively speaking, to a regular format. I'll look at your trade when I want to send it on. Sign a waiver to play in a 3 RB team. I have a question about fantasy football. Give it to us. I have Dalton Kincaid and Jake Ferguson at tight end. Harvey in the bench and Ibuka. I don't think I'd do the trade. If Harvey becomes your RB2, I don't think I'd do the trade. No. Not enough for me. I'm a 12-man, have the pick 6, knowing Gibbs, Lamb, Chase, everyone goes, and JJ just falls to me. I think I'm taking CMC or Genty at the 6. I mean, I don't think it's crazy. But if Justin Jefferson is there, I'm taking Justin Jefferson. Undoubtedly, I would take Justin Jefferson. I mean, what, you're expecting Chase, Bijan, Saquon, Gibbs, Lamb? I'm still going JJ confidently over CMC and Genty. You have AJ Brown, Devontae, Pearsall, Henry, Chase, Kenneth, Harvey, and Ibuka. I think I'd stay put. I'm very high on Kenneth Walker, but I still have injury concern, and I'm not 110% sold on RJ Harvey's role for the entirety of the season just yet. I'd rather be able to start AJ Brown, Devontae Adams, or Pearsall, Derrick Henry, Chase Brown, that have the ability to flex Kenneth Walker or Pearsall. Like, is your roster bad if you do the trade? No, but Chase Brown has so much upside, and Pearsall is a solid piece here. I don't think I'd do it. If it was Kenneth and Pearsall, I'd do it. And I really like Kenneth. Chat agrees so far out on the trade. Bowers at 3.8 is nuts. Yeah, it's a 3 wide receiver format, so I don't think it's too nuts. And like in super flex formats, I've seen it happen as well. Bowers and McBride will fall. So 3 wide receiver and super flex, you will see those tight ends pushed back a little bit. And once again, even in like going into last year when Laporta was coming off of his year, this is still like the earliest we'd see tight ends go. I feel like the merit for tight ends is really strong this year. And yeah, I never draft tight ends early, but generally speaking, I don't think it's that crazy. All right, boys and girls, draft is done. We'll be back on tomorrow night for another draft. Tomorrow's draft will be a standard PPR format. I guess I shouldn't use the word standard. Will be a double flex league. So 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, tight end, 2 flex, 5 bench spots, 2 IR spots. Tomorrow's going to be a good draft. Competitive league for sure. League number 3 drafting at 9 p.m. Eastern times. We'll be back at the same exact time we were on tonight. We'll run through the draft and we'll review all the teams and we'll do fantasy Q&A while we wait. Then Monday night, league number 1 is drafting. That is a keeper league, but it's the same format as the one I just went over. So that's going to be a fun draft as well. J-Dubs, enjoy your break. See you on Monday night. Have a good night, Cinnabon. Two drafts at the same time. Yeah, I have a home league draft at 8 p.m. tomorrow. So, yeah, if you guys aren't drafting tomorrow, make sure you guys come out, hang out, and talk some fantasy football for sure. All right, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight, talking some fantasy football. Congrats again to everybody in league number 5. Great draft tonight. You guys killed it. Going to be a great league this year. And make sure you guys hit the like button on the way out and stay posted. Week 1 content for the upcoming fantasy season is going to start dropping Thursday. Outside of that, we are just rolling with our live stream drafts. And be here before you know it, boys and girls. So all of our week 1 content is going to start coming out Thursday. We'll have must-start defenses, must-add waiver players, start-sit videos for every player at every position, every matchup for running back, wide receiver, quarterback, and tight end, and various other content coming out over the next week. So make sure you guys are staying posted. Pumped for the year to start, and we'll keep rolling through our league drafts as we get closer to the beginning of the season. So with that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch and Peace.